I've been developing buildings since the mid or early 1980s. My partners and I have developed more than 6 million square feet of buildings.
We are always interested in good maintenance of all kinds on our buildings. We try to run our properties efficiently. Scott was the only person that ever suggested saving water.
We save 30 to 40% in almost all cases, and quite often we save a lot more than that.
We are saving about 40%. Some of our buildings use 400,000 gallons a month. That is a very significant savings.
I was in the landscape business for 32 years. 1989, 1990, everyone was concerned about saving water, and that was what we responded. What I learned in that 3 years was what I then applied in the water conservation business that I took commercially to Syntex. They had about 2 million square feet of turf grass, a little under 40 acres, and the site manager at the time, Virgil Goss, had wanted to know how much water went on the landscape. I could not believe how much water we could save and still keep that alive. And the aggregate savings over the life of the project was in excess of $2.5 million.
The problem that always bothered us was we were paying a lot of money, wasting a lot of water, incurring huge paving costs. The damage shows up in a lot of different areas. It shows up in the cost of the water, it shows up in the cost of the paving. So we were very receptive to the concept of having the properties look as good, spending less money, using less resources.
In order for this to work, we need to establish a budget, we need to validate that budget, we need to establish irrigation schedules that change once a month, and we need to calibrate this with meter readings. And if the property changes hands or the maintenance contractor changes, we're able to plug the new operator into the system.
I was actually introduced to Scott when I started on the Stanford portfolio, and he was working with Water Aware. He was managing the irrigation, and then I slowly started to take over the accounts that he was managing. It really wasn't very difficult. He gave me some background information about the landscape, and it had already been managed like that for a year. We take a reading the end of the month and the middle of the month, and then we'll input it into the CLCA.
The CLCA is the California Landscape Contractors Association. I offered to take the water management program we had developed and see if we couldn't adapt it to the web. We spent the next 2 years building CLCAengine.com, which is the website on which the water budgets and the water meter readings are kept. It's used by about 250 contractors, 500 to 600 sites. It's something that we in WaterWare use a lot.
We were never concerned that there would be a problem because we'd worked with Scott for a number of years. We knew the quality of the work. The dollar investment has been extremely small. We've made some alterations and improvements, and it's just things that make good sense managing our buildings.
You could buy a new controller, you can redo your landscapes, but this is going to be the most cost-effective, fastest way to get results.
In a competitive market, the lower your triple net expenses are, the more competitive you're going to be. Being efficient in our water usage is just one aspect of all the things we try to do.